A tight tussle between Ruffle and Knights sees Knights the victor on Cafe 7-5. One game to go tonight though for Playday 4 of Oceanic National Stage 3. Welcome back from the break. Of course, we are presented by Samsung. It's always lovely to have them on board. Guys, Overt versus Bliss. It's our final game for the night. This is a pretty big one. All things considered, I'll go to you first, Guz. I don't know why you're already smiling. Come on.
I'm just happy to be here.
Just happy.
I'm always smiling.
Here. Well, are you happy for this matchup, though?
Of course I am. Why wouldn't I be? Heading into this one, it is almost first. Well, not quite first, but one of the best, taking on arguably, statistically, one of the worst, because Overt, they've basically just jumped into the league. That said, Overt have already made some waves so far. They've put in some decent performances. They took down Order last night, 8-7 in a crazy OT matchup. Playday before that. They took down Rhythm as well. So on paper, heading into Stage 3, we probably thought this was an easy Bliss win, but I'm not so convinced it will be a stroll in the park for them.
Ooh, Vast, do you hold the same sentiment?
I do. I think I think it will be like pretty tough for Bliss, but to be honest, I actually think that they are the team that will kind of study their opponents and look for tendencies. I don't think Bliss will make the same mistakes and fall into the same traps as some of the other teams that have versed Overt. Bliss seem like a team that they won't push something if they feel that it's like a really heavy setup. If they might feel like it's a trap or something, they're not afraid to kind of switch up their pushes and push more weaker sides and areas that you may not be holding. And I think that will work really well against Overt.
I also feel like Bliss is probably a team that's more than capable of being the team to maybe bring Overt back down to earth, guys. This is a team that's very strong in the best of one genre in the OCN. And obviously for Overt, they've had a great opening 2 weeks in Oceanic Nationals, pushed Knights to a 5-7 loss, being of course Overt losing that one. But then they beat Rhythm, then they've beaten Order. In saying that, I'm going to be completely blunt here. It's not like those two are world beaters. It's not Chiefs, it's not Bliss. This should be a game that Bliss take the win, but still, what an entry for Stage 3 Overt has had, right? And this is why I don't want to be too down on them. They've been amazing to watch. They've come straight in. They've also brought their own style and adaptation to some of the maps that we haven't seen in OCN probably since Ruffle came in.
Yeah, I do think, as you mentioned, this could be the game that does send them down to earth, because Order, in bad form, they have Apex South. Rhythm, not in the best of form, one of the weaker teams, despite, a couple of wins recently. Probably not the most challenging opponent. Prior to that, they did lose as well to the Knights. It was close, 7-5, but again, Apex South is their priority. So, yeah, we have to still enter this match with tampered expectations for Overt. We're not expecting them to set the world on fire. I don't want to completely count them out of this matchup. We are seeing a lot of these players step up when required. But look, I think their experience, or lack of experience, their inexperience, will probably shine through in this game.
Yeah, Vast, this is obviously a team that, I don't want to say has surprised people, but they've been so good to watch in OCN that I really do hope that they're able to push the limits against Bliss. But do you get the feeling like maybe they're just going to have too much to do in this particular game against the best of one Kings?
Yeah, I do agree. I do think, though, it is quite refreshing having, a team kind of shake up OCN. It makes it really interesting. It, just changes the dynamic of everything. It makes you kind of question where everyone is going to kind of finish at the end of the season. But I think today is, Bliss is the team that I expect to beat these guys. I think that, as Guz was saying, that I think they haven't really been tested. Rhythm did talk about in their interview that they kind of took Overt for granted. They didn't really show them that respect. And, I want to see them versus a team like Bliss that will kind of play to your weaknesses. And I think Overt haven't experienced that yet. It seems like everyone is kind of playing their own game against them and allowing Overt to play the way they want to play. We haven't seen a team really make them uncomfortable, put that pressure on from start to finish. And I think today will be a big test whether, how kind of dynamic this team is, what they've, if they've got anything else up their sleeve.
We had Cafe. Are we going to get Coastline and complete all the maps here for OCN? No, we go back to Villa one more time. It has become a staple here for Stage 3, because this is going to be like the 5th time that we've seen Villa already this stage. The only other map that compares to it is basically Oregon. This is like the new Oregon and Clubhouse is now Oregon and Villa.
Look, I'm just glad we're not going back to Cafe, so I'm not too fussed. Villa could definitely toss up a whole wide variety of gameplay styles, right? Earlier in the night, we saw so much verticality from some of these teams. We could well see it again with some pretty crazy extensions. I have no doubt both of these teams might dabble in that. In terms of stats, Overt did pick up a win here on Villa. And looking across to Bliss, it is one of the maps that are banned against them quite frequently. In fact, they've actually only played it once this year. It was a victory, but yeah, it's neutral territory. I don't know if Fast has more thoughts necessarily on how the ban process is played out, but you know, I didn't necessarily head into this with too much expectations as to where exactly we would head. The only thing I will note is Overt took Cafe off the board straight away, and that is easily Bliss's best map, so that was well done by them. They did their homework.
Fast, your thoughts on this map, Vito?
I find it really interesting that Overt were the ones that banned Oregon. I thought Bliss were going to come out and just ban Oregon. I think they've shown that they really know how to play that map, and it's very comfortable for them. Maybe this is just them wanting to mix it up. Maybe they feel like, you know, we played Oregon twice. Bliss doesn't have any info on us on any other maps, so you know, I think that kind of makes sense there. I think with Villa as well, from what I've seen on both of these teams, I mean, Overt have actually played Villa. I just totally forgot about that, but maybe that was the thought process while they're banning that map at the time. I think on Villa, both of these teams, from what I've seen, they aren't really interested in like playing the mini games, you know, the util clear that sometimes we do see on Villa, the brown clears, the red clears, Astro clears. They seem to prefer to catch their opponents off guard with aggression and try to time it really well. Bliss did it really well at doing it as a team. It just seemed like when they were aggressive, they were all doing it together, and they were just getting like just a bunch of kills at the same time without any trades happening. So I think I can expect a game kind of like that coming in. Both of these teams are going to try that play style, so I'm not really it's going to turn out, because I don't think we've really seen a play like a really close play style like this like come together. So I can't, yeah, I don't really know how that's going to go, but I think Bliss having more of the experience and being able to like read their opponents will, you know, benefit them this game.
Appreciate your thoughts as always, Vast, but we are going to be heading straight into our final game of the night for Playday 4. Overt going up against Team Bliss. We head back to Villa for the final time tonight, guys, in what could very well be, well, maybe a turning point of the season. If Bliss do lose this one, it really shapes up the top portion of the tables. We do expect them, though, to get the job done.
Yeah, on paper, this is a little bit of a sleeper game, but I do think it does have potential to really blow up, as Vast just alluded to. If we see both teams play really explosive, well-timed, well-coordinated aggression, and that clashes head-to-head, wowee, this is going to make for a fun game. And it could be a very stark contrast to that earlier match from Order, where we saw, you know, a lot of those mini-games play out and a lot of util clearance against Chiefs. So yeah, keen to see how they clash. Sophia off the board first. I mean, if that's any indication, then yeah, I think Vast is on the money.
Of course, Chiefs and Order.
Jeez, okay,
Jeez,
wow.
okay.
All right, so that means Flores available, Thatcher available, all flank watch available. I don't think there's going to be any util play in this game, or if there is, it's going to be a headache to deal with.
Yeah, it kind of sets the tone a little bit, obviously, with the with those bans. Mute, not too
Mute. Oh my god.
Yeah, that's, I don't know. This is almost like no one is allowed to roam. Well, now everyone's allowed to roam, I guess, but the Nook, obviously, you know, you're not allowed to roam, I guess.
Need to see what the final defensive ban will be. Okay, Malusi. So that again, that's another counter-aggressive ban. Oda seems absolutely shocked, so I don't know if that was sarcasm or what in response to that ban. But yeah, wow, okay, this is pretty peculiar. Zafia, Nook, Mute, and Malusi. That opens it up quite nicely here for the attack. Yeah, this is going to be explosive. I would expect nothing less. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised we're already going to see the Jaeger Wamai. I mean, maybe Overt will kind of flip on what we're expecting here and actually play heavy into the util sync, but I kind of doubt it.
I think Bliss is also a team that's more than happy to play into this sort of style, right, against Overt. Overt's already proven so far. Overt's already proven so far since coming into the Oceanic Nationals. They're more than happy to, you know, play unconventionally, play aggressive, play their own style. But I think Bliss really plays into that themselves as a team coming into this sort of matchup. I think they're the team that should be able to actually counteract Overt's aggressive nature. Wow,
Yeah.
look at the community vote.
Yeah, HP Omen community vote, 59% in favor of Overt. So, okay, that's kind of weird.
I guess we could say which maybe team's got some more fans.
I don't know. I feel like Bliss is pretty populated in the chat. Hashtag Bliss up.
Well, apparently they're not voting.
No. They should, you know what they should do? They should go to @R6 Esports OCE.
They
So
should.
that they can vote.
And @Omen by HP_ANZ, of course, but too late to vote for the rest of the night because this is our final game of the night for Playday number 4. Next week will be Playday 5 and Playday 6. Both next week. Yep. Wanted to point that one out.
Yep. Pretty sure what we're casting Saturday.
Yeah, we're going to be doing Knights in Order.
Ooh, that could be alright.
Yeah.
Or it could also be a Fizzler, who knows, with the way some of the form has been carried across by a lot of these teams. A little bit rocky, but a bit more clear-cut between these two at the moment.
A bit what? Clip-clop?
Clear-cut. I
Oh,
don't know why that was a tongue twister, as Jigsaw finds the first onto Elements. Mosley off the board. Not a bad opening pick.
E1D deployed by Shade, first of 3. Have we established that we're allowed to just call Twent Trent? Is this something that's been accepted now? Or are we still just going with Twent?
Guess we have to go Twent.
I can call him Trent because, I mean, we're best buds, you know, and that's his real name.
Let's go Trent. By the way, Trent is Twent. We're close friends like that. I kind of know pros, it's no big deal.
Yeah, cast them all the time.
Yeah.
Ooh, shot from Sawyer, close. No cigar, though. Then Bliss, of course, with that opening pick. Got the man advantage. Rapix down below. Second E1D deployed by Shade, who's at half health. Cairo, though, holding main stairs for now. Very perilous position. Rapix literally just runs straight into the crosshair. Might get a second one here if it's timed perfectly. No, goes the other way. Jigsaw takes the head off of Twent.
Don't need to sync that util if you can negate it by clicking heads. Edpan and Cairo now to try and hold on, but plenty of time for the attack to work with. Bliss as well with 7 drones available. Should be able to locate where these players are. Edpan is isolated and can be cut off. Cairo alone in sight.
And should mention as well from the earlier matchup tonight, Chiefs in Order on Villa, AVG was, I don't think, actually ever taken by an attacking team. And if it was very rare. Oda, almost with some shots, actually takes one back, play over towards 90. One on site as well for Overt. 40 seconds remaining and time still on the side of Bliss here, and they can easily get this plant down. Never mind. Might have gone too soon. Cairo actually ran out of bullets, has to pull out the pistol. Doesn't quite get the job done. Jigsaw's able to get Edpan. Cairo is able to at least reload here. 23 seconds, but it's a 1-on-2.
Jigsaw and Todd just need to time the push, and Todd will go first, find that kill. Well closed out there by Bliss.
Yeah, a little bit messy, but I think you would expect messy is probably the way to summarize how I think this game's going to play out between these two teams. It's not going to be that sort of structured, methodical siege. It's going to be, you know, swinging and pushing and you know, run-outs and basically all of the above. Between these two teams, I think, and that honestly plays into the hands of Bliss. I think there's probably some other teams at OCN that when Overt come at them with that sort of, you know, ferocity or aggressiveness, sure, they might buckle under the pressure. They want that more structured siege, but I think Bliss is more than happy to play it, and you could see that Jigsaw thriving with a couple of kills in that round.
Oh, we shape up for the rotation. Overt not wanting to double down on AVG. We'll head over towards Stat Trophy. Now, on the side of the defense, not as util heavy here from Overt. They're not bringing the Wamai or the Jaeger. Last round they bought both. And honestly, that's probably going to have to be the play, right? We saw that shield set up top round last time. Didn't really work out. Didn't really facilitate many of the peaks across that study entrance as they would have liked. In fact, Team Bliss were able to still win that out with the shield standing and no util dumped. So Overt probably just need to play guns up. They want to play shields, don't rely on them too heavily. Yeah, so far, fast on the money. This is going to be a pretty wild match, and I don't really expect the pace to slow down too much.
Certainly not, especially when you look at the lineup of Overt as well. The Mozzie, Legion, the Valk, so much roam potential.
That's a Prisma.
And it's activated outside as well.
Yeah, which is annoying because it means that Overt now can jump out.
Well,
and
I was going to say it's annoying because we have to see that giant text the whole time.
It's annoying for us, but definitely worse for the players in the server. Someone will either have to, one, go and clear it, or two, Bliss just ignore it and have to be very, very vigilant for any future runouts.
That is one thing, though, of course, for, as Todd is actually going to go clear that Prism, when these two teams, you know, are going at it in this match, is that thought process of, you know, anyone could be anywhere. And that goes for both teams in this matchup, in this approach. You're not expecting Overt to just be literally sitting on site, right? You're expecting them to be off-site. You're expecting them to roam, expecting them to be in weird places, maybe even a few ratting sort of locations as well. And that makes it difficult. That means that you're inadvertently probably going to be a little slower with the way that you sweep over to site. But Bliss is doing a pretty decent job right now.
And they are bringing the right-ups to try and counter that. Jackal can track, Lion can crowd control. In combination can be quite tricky for the defense to deal with, especially if Bliss are pre-placing drones in that prep phase and ensuring that they have pretty good information, particularly down below. Only one Nitro available to Overt, that's Edpan, so if he's playing down below, could pose a threat. I think he is, so as Bliss enter in towards bedroom, that's something they need to be mindful of.
Minute 20 remaining, still 5 versus 5. Repix with a sliver of a pixel there from bedroom. But he's got a good little sight line actually onto site now, and Bliss are definitely probing around. Minute left.
Bliss not wanting to give away anything for free. Repix opens up proceedings onto Cairo. Twent finds one back. Jigsaw narrowly misses that wallbang there through the deer. Shade holding the crossing towards Astro, making sure that's clear as Edpan does eventually find one off-site. Bliss now at the main disadvantage. 40 seconds left as the Nitro pre-placed. Bathroom is clear, however, so that won't find its mark. Shade really needs to go big here. If he drops Sawyer, he might be able to get in and actually help the team, but I think he's actually fallen off that repeller to assist on the bedroom bulk.
Shade going to be able to... Yeah, he is. Oh, well, maybe he's not. He had the right idea. Unfortunately, though, just didn't back himself in with the idea of checking right. Repix gets one onto Twent, but yeah, time is very much against Bliss. Repix, though, going for the plant. Edpan will stop him. Never mind, Jigsaw watching. Repix will be able to get this diffuser down. Unfortunately, though, he does lose Jigsaw in the process. I can't.
Just give up.
I gave up. It's too late.
Yeah, does get quite tiring. However, yeah, that was really nicely played there by Sawyer, and not the first time he's popped off inside of Astro so far in OCN, so it seems to be a comfortable position for him. He found the swing in towards Bathroom, and then found the 2K at the very end there, not only to shut down Jigsaw, one of the best fraggers in the region, but also to deny the plan onto Repix, not far behind, so... Well played there by Overt. A little bit messy, but again, that's a theme that's going to be consistent throughout this match.
So we get back to AVG, and Bliss won it pretty convincingly, I think, in the first round for a site that had pretty decent defensive capabilities in the earlier matchup between Chiefs and Order. We'll see whether or not Overt are going to be able to rectify any issues here. Can't really sit back and say what they did wrong too much. Just kind of felt like Bliss were able to really just win out a lot of those fights. They are going to put a bit of an extension over towards Stat Trophy. The other thing to note as well is the vert versus horizontal control, because it was brought up in our last match between Order and Chiefs. You know, you look at a site like AVG, sometimes you'll see that horizontal approach, but obviously in that earlier match, we saw a lot more focus on vert control rather than that horizontal.
Yeah, and that's just, I guess, the fundamental overarching kind of game philosophy that both of these teams have in comparison, right? These two, Bliss and Overt, super frag heavy, back themselves into mid ones, not as strategic, and there we go, perfect example. Cairo on brown stairs, shuts down Repix, and that's one entry dealt with.
Not a good start to the round for Bliss, and for Overt, that's almost job done. They don't need to fall back to site, but you just keep maintaining your positions. Play off of this man advantage. Shade on the IQ, of course, employed to, I would imagine, primarily deal with the Valkyrie of Edpan. Basically a one-for-one sort of operator battle.
Ronin's out down below. Jigsaw marching forward. You can use that Inox scanner to spot any players out.
Never trust the naked eye.
Valkyrie detected on the other side of the map. Everyone from Bliss down below here. There's a real chance, honestly, that they just try and send it up red, maybe brown as well, and see what they can do. A couple of players potentially could be cut off on the other side of the map if they're not careful.
The problem, though, if you send it up red and brown sort of at the same time together, it's hard to sort of play off of both positions at once, too far apart. Obviously, if you win those fights, then sure, it's a lot of control and you can pinch on site, but 10 seconds remaining, still a lot of time for Bliss to sort of figure out what they want to do. Oh, nice little swing from Kara. That's twice now he's been able to do that. Jigsaw's able to get a kill onto Sawyer. I think Kara's looking for a third.
Twain trying to offer some support from above, but Todd will time the smoke as Twent's distracted elsewhere. Leaves it in the 3-on-3, 45 seconds left on the board. Oda has 3 summers remaining as well on the hard breach to potentially get an alternate entry in towards the objective. Jigsaw finds one more to give his team the advantage, and now Overt on the back foot.
Well, Twent does get one though on site, throws out his final gas babe. 30 seconds remaining, so won't have any of those for the final moments to say deny a plant. Oda's got that diffuser in hand. Todd to, I guess, help cover him. Headpan though over towards 90, and he's in a very, very important position. Does get the trade at least. 1-for-1 has been established there. Edpan now versus Oda, 1-on-1. Does have the Nitrocell still available as well if he so chooses to use it. Oda inside of games is going to be able to get this plant down. Nitrocell goes out. Does not hit the mark though. Now we've got 40 seconds and Oda has an idea as to where he is. Plays off of that Nitrocell and is able to get the second round win here for Team Bliss.
Yeah, really good composure there from Oda. Unfortunately, that Nitro cell just a little bit shallow, doesn't quite hit the mark, caught on the couch, and was never going to do enough damage from that range. Closely contested round, very awkward for the most part, over towards brown stairs, a lot going on. Some util dump to an extent, but again, it was mainly just guns up for Bliss. They backed themselves to win out these fights. Overt doing the same. A really nice trade there from Edpan in dying seconds, but unfortunately, he didn't quite apply enough pressure to stop Oda from sticking that diffuser, and once it was down on the ground, he had the advantage.
And not the best signs here for Overt defensively. AVG, they've now lost twice. And obviously can't go stat trophy, they won that one, so kitchen dining, they've had enough of AVG, not even going to try and repeat it, which somewhat surprising simply because it's not like they were obliterated on site. It literally came down to a 1 versus 1. You tweak a few things, maybe you can have it go in your favor. In fairness though, also, a lot of what worked for them was Cairo at brown stairs. He was able to get 2 very crucial kills. And then as soon as he dies, and that position does go into the hands of Bliss, they end up just sort of overwhelming site and basically win out from there. Kitchen dining, we'll see whether or not they are going to extend above. Seems like that could be an option, something that we did see a little bit of in Chiefs versus Orders match as well.
10 seconds remaining.
Yeah, if they do extend up above though and invest utility, again, I'm probably not expecting Bliss to waste too much time and resources actually playing into that. I wouldn't be surprised if they go for some kind of lurk down in basement, see if they can cut off a defender or two and find some picks. Probably apply pressure in towards pantry, and honestly probably just set up for like laundry or something pretty simple. If they overcomplicate things here, they're probably just going to screw themselves over, really. So we'll have to wait and see. They have bought the Jackal, which would suggest that maybe we'll see some sort of room clear, but I mean, Jigsaw finds a kill for free basically there. Edpan spawn peek can take him down. And if Bliss want to play off that quite swiftly, they might be able to. It really depends what kind of info they have in sight.
I mean, pick doesn't necessarily mean everything, though. We saw it last game. Last round, I should say. Overt weren't able to capitalize. I think it does mean a little bit more, though, for the attacking team. Just makes life a little bit easier. Zoya just taking out a couple of drones. Speaking of a couple of drones, only 6 remaining at the 2-minute mark. Bliss do need to be careful that they don't expend their drone usage too easily here.
Really is the game of information at the moment. Jigsaw tracking feet, and Sawyer with heartbeat sensor tracking through walls. So it does create a bit of a standoff here at the moment. Both teams kind of aware of where the other's situated. Bliss in the meantime, while that's going down, will try and take up above. Then you have 3 drones left as mentioned, but should be able to get the job done. Not too much in the way of pressure up above in this position. I think Elements was at least just in stat, but will fall off to top red. I mean, that leaves 3 on side if Bliss want to hit, but again, limited drones mean that they probably won't be aware of that, and they're not really in a position to go for it anyway.
2 nitrous tells available for Overt as well. Of course, one of which with Sawyer. Although for Elements over towards landing, he's not quite near sight. Could definitely... Oh, this could be the play, though, from Sawyer. Doesn't go for it. Thought he would have. To throw it through the hole. Now he goes for it, and he will find the mark onto Shade. Had he pulled it first time, I wonder if he might have been able to get 2.
45 seconds left. There we go. Elements over towards top red. Does drop the Jigsaw. Overt now with the advantage, but Repic's able to clutch one back on towards Sawyer, and that is the pulse taken down, limiting some of the information gathering here for Overt. They probably do have some Vault cams still available. Not sure whether Bliss have dealt with those. Of course, IQ has been down. Shade no longer playing a part in this round, but Oda still able to find that pick. Enters in towards site, hungry for more. Doesn't hit that flick though. Twent's still alive, but there we go. Red picks to follow up. Elements still alive, but not for long. Todd wins that round out, and Bliss will claim it. Really well played from Bliss. They didn't force the 1v1s. Despite the time, they still made sure they could have those 2v1s. So it's not just Oda in the 1 versus 1 there. He gets a bit of help from Repix. It becomes a 2 versus 1. And then it all just becomes too much there for poor old Twent and the rest of Overt. Well played from Bliss. Patience is a virtue. They take Kitchen Dining just as they've been able to take AVG. We head back over to Stat Trophy. This is not shaping up to be good news right now for Overt on their defense here for Villa. And Overt will take a tack, I presume. Yep, it's confirmed. Probably a good time to do so. Don't want to extend out that margin too much. See if they can hunker down win the next couple of rounds and even out. It's a little. I think it's a little bit early though. Surely it's 3-1. It's not. Yeah, but you're going to Stat Trophy. Like you won that before. Yeah, I guess I agree with that argument that you're going back to a site you've had success on. But at the same time, you also want to be able to hold some of this momentum and really work out what's going wrong. Because honestly, that last round probably should have been Overt's, but they kind of just fell apart in the final stages. At the moment, Bliss are kind of just playing their game. They're backing themselves to win out these gunfights. And sure, the structure kind of looks a bit funny, but it is working for them. And Overt are kind of finding it tricky to deal with. Sawyer again is stepping up on multiple occasions, but it can't just be that one player that's consistently putting in results. Yeah, look, I will say this as well, that generally after 4 rounds, if things aren't going your way, there's 2 more rounds to go. You have that tactical timeout, you reset mentally for the final 2 rounds. Sure, Stat Trophy to site you've won before, but then what happens after that, right? That 6th round. You probably don't want to take a tactical timeout with 1 round to go in the half. The only other thing would have been to do what I believe Wildcard did earlier tonight, where you take the tactical timeout in conjunction with the halftime break and really extend it that little bit further going into the second half. But maybe by that point, who knows, it could be too late. What if you're staring down the barrel of a 5-1 deficit?
just after your defense. So yeah, it's always a tricky one. Full credit to Overt though, they're taking it early, and that means that they're taking this into their hands as we head back over to Stat Trophy, where it did work out for them pretty well last time.
Yeah, I'd love to know what the discussion was for Overt. I think one talking point potentially could have been the tempo of this match so far, because it has been at a really, really high intensity. And Overt kind of have to start making a conscious decision, right? Do they try and match that or even surpass the kind of aggression that we're seeing from Bliss? Or do they try and really slow down the momentum that they've gained, slow down the tempo of the match consciously? Based on their operator picks, I'd say they're probably going for the first option, or at least keeping it level to what it was before. They're not going back to that kind of Jaeger Wamai setup we saw earlier, sinking util and forcing that kind of play on Bliss, because maybe they just figure it won't work. And honestly, that might well be the call. Instead, try and back yourself to win fights like that, right? Cairo wins the opening pick there, Repic's taken down once more. And that's the kind of aggression that, if rewarded, could really pay off in the long run.
Can Overt capitalize on this opening pick? They weren't able to in one of the earlier rounds. Todd, a little bit of deja vu there, clearing that prism.
He really doesn't like it.
Oh. I'm glad he doesn't, so he can get rid of that one.
Good cams here from Sawyer. Could potentially set up for a C4 down below if Edman wants to play that position. Impact as well from the belt, but doesn't quite hit the mark. Those summers will detonate. And now Sawyer's actually found himself in a really, really awkward position. He can really no longer cross. If he does, it will be pure luck. And Shade going to capitalize upon that? No. Bliss unaware of Sawyer's position.
Does get droned out. Now they know, but are they going to be able to have anyone actually get him trapped in there? He too can actually just swing out here, maybe find a kill. If he does that, I think that's at least 1 for 1. That's job done. You wouldn't really expect much more. He's able to at least get into Astro now and get away from that position. So honestly, this is looking pretty good for Overt.
Now that bathroom camera was taken down, so Sawyer a little bit blind here inside of Astro, and Todd down below with Vert. Could clear that out with a skeleton key. In fact, that barricade means that his position is quite safe, and if Sawyer is revealed, he'll be taken down. It's Jigsaw actually to find that pick, 4 versus 3, as Oda does get one, presumably from the breach. That's the smoke off the board. Ooh. As Jigsaw tries to take out the default, lit up by the Nitro cell, and here we go, the explosion from Bliss.
Yeah, and this is just Overt though, continually trying to chase kills. They lose a couple, they try and get the trades, but then they lose another one, and suddenly it all just ends up being now 4 versus 1 down to Elements. Don't necessarily dislike it, guys, but obviously it hasn't quite worked out in this case. It's almost like Operation try and save Sawyer. He dies, you try and then run in, you try and get that trade, doesn't work, and ultimately, yeah, that's a little bit of a cheeky one, but that was a bit of a wasteful kind of round, I think, from Overt. You almost need to just say, leave Sawyer, let's just go back, let's stay on site, and then play off of that. If he gets anything, he does. If he doesn't, he doesn't.
Yeah, Bliss are choking out their opponents at the moment. And we did kind of frame this matchup in the pre-show as potentially being, you know, the first real test, in quotation marks, for Overt, and so far it's kind of showing. At this rate, it's probably going to blow out a little bit more. I don't expect Overt to really start mounting a comeback unless this somehow ends up being super attacker-sided, which, you know, maybe it could be because we did anticipate a lot of aggression from both of these teams. But yeah, so far, that kind of clash of play styles heavily favoring Bliss. They seem to just be out mechanically performing the other team. And like I said, choking out their opponents so well. Just no one from Overt is ever looking very comfortable. Sawyer, perfect example. If he had his time again, probably wouldn't have aggressed on the breach in the fashion that he did. But yeah, from that point onwards, it kind of felt like they were trying to catch up to their opponents, and they're not setting the pace of the matchup or being able to slow it down. They're kind of stuck in this weird middle ground, which isn't working for them.
I would be a bit surprised if this turns into an attacker-sided Villa, though.
Yeah, I don't think it will. Honestly, at this point, 7-1. Like, I think Overt is gone.
Jeez. I don't know if I'd go that far, but...
Well, I'm saying it.
I'll buy... We've only had 5 games of Villa. That's actually our second most played map in OCN. It's 62% defensive win rate. Nothing else really comes close at all. In fact, no, nothing else really comes close at all. Everything else is closer to that 50% mark. So this really does sort of stand out over those 5 games that has been played. That defense has been very proficient here on Villa, especially sites like AVG, and I think that was almost sort of the smoke signal at the start of this game, and it's like, well, you're losing AVG. That's probably not ideal if you're Overt here on the defense. And so they get one more opportunity on it here to close out this first half. If this does become 5-1, then yeah, maybe 7-1 could be on the cards.
Last time we saw Bliss heavily push the brown stairs position, and so far it's looking like it will be the same. Oh, nice drain there from Repix. Red hallway exposed. I don't think Bliss can really play off that though. Looking to gain control of that kind of lobby position at the bottom of the brown stairs. In fact, rotation will come through to cut off Red hallway, and Jigsaw might enter elsewhere, see what he can find with that Inox scanner. Pretty measured at the moment from Bliss, but they're the kind of team that, and we've seen it so far, right? When the intel's there and they know when it's time to go, they commit. They're not going to do anything too irrational though.
And Overt find their way back into this matchup. Definitely need to win this round if they are to do it. Minute and a half remaining in the final round of this first half, and our final game of the night as well. But Team Bliss doing kind of what we expected them to do and be the catalyst in taking down Overt, a team that has been riding such a high since joining OCN. Oda, that is so close. Todd, that chair ends up stopping him.
Trade.
But trade +1 in favor of Bliss.
Yeah, that's so well played. Bliss doing a really good job there. Edpan doing his best to waste time, and to be fair, they have wasted quite a bit. 2 minutes down, 1 remaining here, and Elements can actually retake this position. If Bliss don't have intel, oh, I think they do, watching this position already, but Elements still wins the fight and drops the diffuser in the process.
Makes it a 3 versus 3. Good information as well for Overt. Shade actually taking a bit of damage too. But Jigsaw having a big game so far, 9-3-1. And still alive and can still command this round to go into his favor. Gas Babe goes out. Dissipates. Now it's the push from Jigsaw and Repix. Can they overwhelm Twent? Sawyer. He'll have a 1 versus 1. There's the peek. It was a shoulder peek though. Gets the information. 15 seconds left.
Yeah, Sawyer in an awkward position. Twent will need to go big here.
Oh. Do they know he's there? He gets 1. He might even get a second. No, traded by Jigsaw. 2 versus 1. Shade gets the 1 onto Elements. Nice effort from Overt, but Bliss too strong, too good at the moment in the first half.
Well, it's been a little bit of a speed run so far from Bliss, 5-1, as we enter the second half. Looking strong at the moment, and a frag-heavy Villa seemingly favouring them so far. We head over towards AVG for the first defensive attempt. And as you said earlier, Jake, this is the most defender-sided map in the pool for OCN, so we're not expecting their momentum to slow down all that much.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've seen situations in the past where we see a 5-1 half and we think, all right, well, now let's see what happens in the second half. It could be, you know, replicated. And at times it is. I just don't see the way in which it's going to happen here. Bliss coming onto the defense now, especially straight onto a site like AVG, which typically has a very high defensive win rate. And Bliss, a very competent team, should be able to get the job done, make it 6-1. You got that match point, and then for Overt, it's that damn wall that's broken, which it probably already has broken, to be honest. In saying that, though, like, this is not sad for Overt. This is fine. You've already had 3 amazing matches to kickstart your OCN debut. You were never going to really be able to finish first or second. That would have just been otherworldly. And so this is fine. Bliss is a team. If there's any team, including maybe even Chiefs, that you're probably not going to beat, it's probably this team anyway.
Yeah, this is honestly just a really good learning experience from Overt. I'm sure they'll take a lot out of this matchup, and yeah, it's not over just yet, but I think it probably will be soon. Bliss just across the board playing a lot stronger, and Overt not quite being able to sort of match that level of intensity and just mechanical skill across the board, which has been serving Bliss really, really well. Now, in terms of this round, we are seeing the lurk from elements, so it seems like Overt are going into the pocket strats a little bit here, maybe trying to find something, and you know what? It works. Jigsaw taken down, that's the top fragger dealt with.
But they've had opening picks a couple of times in these rounds, so it's hard to get too excited. Be like, oh, they've got the opening pick. You know,
But it was a Jigsaw, so...
Well, that actually, yeah, well done. This is why you're the best color commentator in the business, guys. Jigsaw is probably, despite being only on, say, Valk or whatever, he is someone that is just going to be able to frag out. So can Shade.
Whoa.
So can anyone on this team. That was a little bit unexpected for Edpan. He's not going to be too happy with that. There goes Rep. Oh, Jesus. You know what? Don't worry. Jigsaw's dead. He's just going to go grab a glass of water or something while his team cleans up.
Element still seeing what he can get done, but Todd has the cross shield established for Oda to play off, and this is going to be very, very tough. And Todd will catch the Jackal off guard. Sawyer left in the 1 versus 4. It's been a pretty decently well-played map by the man, but this is going to take a very heroic effort.
Yeah. It's not going to happen, really, is it? For Overt, despite that opening pick. I tried to back you up there, guys, and try and say, oh, yeah, it's Jigsaw. But by the time I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth, Repix had already found 2. But that's what makes Bliss so deadly as a team, right? Jigsaw goes down. There are going to be people who stand up. There are some teams where you're like, oh, this player goes down. Who's going to stand up? You don't even ask that question with Team Bliss.
Yeah, for sure. And now Slayer left to enter the 4-man cross. All guns trained on this 1 doorway, and with 30 seconds left, he's going to be forced sooner or later to make a move. Question is, who's going to get the kill?
Well, it's not Jigsaw. That's the only answer I can give you, because he's dead. Good learning experience for Overt, and what they can sort of gain from this is very much invaluable.
10 seconds left.
And you know what? They've got actually a winnable game next week against Wildcard. That's going to be a fascinating one to watch. A lot of repercussions there in terms of promos, rallies.
Operators, you are out of time.
For not obviously Overt, but more so for Wildcard and Rhythm and what happens there. But yeah, saving his gun for the next round.
Save op.
Yep.
Well, I did say before, it was probably going to be a 7-1.
You did?
And you did snicker at me.
I did,
So that
yep.
was not very nice.
Yep.
Well,
I didn't snicker. I just said, well, I wouldn't go that far. But then, honestly, also, to be fair, after I doubted you, I was kind of like, you know what? He's probably right. Very quickly. I think in my heart of hearts, I didn't want it to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, look, 100%. I don't want it to happen either. I think that Overt have showed a lot of promise in the first couple of play days, and I would have loved to see that momentum roll. Never expected them to win this matchup, but to at least put up a better fight would have been nice.
I think there was a couple of predictions for Overt in this match. I think one of them might have been Manic. Surely not.
I wouldn't.
I mean, he's not the smartest tool in the shed, but he's, you know, like, come on.
Yeah, I wouldn't listen to him with too much conviction. I think at this point in the match, Overt kind of just need to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. The Ying being brought out is a nice adaptation. You pair that up with the Finker and you can get something done. Just try and catch Bliss off guard. Because it's felt like so far in this matchup, it's almost like Bliss are 1 step ahead of their opponents at every single turn. Every time Overt have tried something a little bit sneaky or something that they don't think Bliss will anticipate, on almost every occasion, Bliss has been able to read into that and win out the fight. So it does unfortunately place Overt in a pretty unfortunate position, but look, if there's any time to try something a bit ridiculous and see if it works, I mean, now's the time, because the chances of you winning the match are very much depleted at this point. So yeah, just throw something and see what sticks. What is going on?
Feels like it's been just basically every round, though. This is not something that's new. This is kind of how this entire game is played out.
It's been pretty wild.
Yeah, but it's been fun. It's honestly been really enjoyable to see Villa become a little bit more of a staple in the region. It was a bit of a rarity at times, as Jigsaw actually probably might lose this contest. Twent with the Adrenal Surge will help out Cairo. And so Jigsaw does lose out. Cairo gets a second onto Oda. That Adrenal Surge really helping him as well.
Yep, reducing his recoil. And I'm pretty sure it reduces ADS time as well. Dev mentioned that to me last night.
Yeah,
so,
it does.
Yeah, got to be right. And yeah, you pair that with the LMG of Ying, and you're going to inflict a lot of pain onto your opponents. Now we get to see what a Bliss made of. This is honestly the first time in this matchup so far they've really had their backs against the wall, at least in a single round in isolation. So, I mean, Shade, Todd, and Repix, bit of clutchability available here for the team. Let's see what they can get done.
And full credit to Overt and Kyra. They've not given up on this one, right? Like, and nor would they, but good to see them really just fight it out for as long as they can. Shade, can he get one from this position inside of Astro? Kyra with the Candelas. We don't see Ying too often. It's been a little while between drinks. The Adrenal Surge helps out once again. Able to heal him up a bit. Rapix gets caught too. Down to a 2 versus 5, making a 1 versus 5. This very well could end up being flawless unless Shade is just going to say no to that, and he does, but Overt are going to win the round.
I think that is a very fair assumption. Shade looking to see what he can get from Overt, forced to rotate back down over towards the China doorway. Does get his second for the round, might be able to try and find a third. But look at that, so many exposed angles. I mean, honestly, Overt aren't set up in the best post-plant positions, but surely he gets swung in 3, 2, there we go. So to close things out, and Overt not rolling over.
Yeah, no, and I don't think you would ever expect them to roll over at all. In fairness, if Kyra dies to Jigsaw initially, then that round plays out entirely different, because then he doesn't even get that second kill afterwards. But because Kyra is able to win that initial fight with Jigsaw, bit of help from the Adrenal Surge, he then goes and gets that second kill, and that's probably the round over with, to be fair. Still long way back for Overt, but if even they can just find another round or two and make that scoreline respectable, that's a big dub. And it also means that's more game time against a team like Bliss in a competitive environment. So the only thing to do here for Overt is to just keep winning more rounds and take what you can from this matchup.
Yeah, that's 100%. You basically stole word for word what I was going to say. Being able to emulate a competitive environment in a scrim is very, very challenging. There's nothing like the real thing. I'm sure players will tell you that. So yeah, anything that Overt can do to just increase their level of experience is always valuable, and the longer you can stay in the server, the more valuable experience you are going to gain. So stretching the match out is in their best interests, and look, you never know what can happen in a game of Siege. It's never impossible to come back from this sort of deficit. Very challenging, but by no means impossible. Unfortunately, we're not going to see the Ying double down here in round 9 for the attack. I would have thought that Overt would maybe stick that or something else a little bit more eccentric to see, you know, let's see what works, but a bit more traditional on this occasion. The IQ being brought out, direct counter to Oda on Valkyrie, even Pulse. I mean, honestly, not the worst of 6 picks. I think it was a 6 pick at least. We can see how Overt try and play off that sort of information.
Trust the naked eye. Loading mag.
All right, straight into library.
RED scanning.
And you can, of course, now scan around, try and find those Valk cams, if you will. Did get a little bit of a ping out there, but this is, again, Overt just pushing through the map very quickly, trying to catch Bliss off guard.
You can hear X-Kairos being sent out. That's Sawyer. Over towards Pantry, I think those may have been shot out, those pellets. Either way though, Oda not really under too much stress at the moment. That wall's still reinforced fully. Kairo's got a nice cross in towards Mudroom. That can be a bit of a foot odd for this attack. The rest of the team doing a good job on this side of the map as well. Now, I don't know if Todd's got information on this position. There are some roamers, as Repix does light up one red hallway. Jigsaw as well, prepped and ready for the pinch.
Jigsaw 0 and 2 in the last 2 rounds. Would like to get on the old kill sheet. Edpan with the elimination onto Todd.
They're inside.
Really are just overtaking this completely, aren't they? But that does allow maybe Team Bliss for the retake. Jigsaw just can't get anything to work right now. Edpan and Elements combined. Couple of shots back though from Rapix and Shade. Edpan's going to be able to get that plant down. Still a minute on the clock. Lots of time here. Don't need to rush this any further, but why not? Just keep pulling Bliss apart. They're going to make this 6-3, guys. And you know what? Like, I don't want to say it, but, you know, this is not over. Oh, no.
Shade gets one on the entry in towards Sheets. Now it's winnable. No longer a laughing matter. Edpan and Cairo. Fair way. Not sure what their tradability is like at the moment. In fact, it doesn't look great.
What is
but
that
it's
angle?
a good angle there from Shade to force him back.
Hello. Bye-bye.
Drone feeding info as Shade will swing back. Pantry being held here by a double cross. Swings wide. Shade caught off guard. Overt. Take the round, and things start to get a teeny weensy bit more interesting.
Like, I closed the match tracker at 6-1. I was like,
I was wrong. It wasn't 7-1.
no, well, obviously.
I was a bit too cynical.
A little bit too quick on the trigger there. And yeah, honestly, Overt deserved this scoreline. 110%. This is not like, you know, junk time rounds, right? Where, you know, Bliss have already got match point. It is what it is. They'll win the round here. AVG. Overt definitely deserve these rounds. From just their general play in this match, even when they were down 6-1, they were fighting pretty well in those rounds. Just couldn't quite get a few things to go their way. And in these last two rounds in particular, they've actually just been quite a little bit sharper and I think a little bit more thorough with their pushing and their aggressiveness. It's almost like they were somewhat holding back a little bit earlier. Now they're just like, well, we can't lose from now. As we can't get any worse than this. We may as well just go full throttle. And it has been working for them.
Yeah, and again, if you're playing without fear and full confidence, no stress, like arguably Overt are with their position relegations nearly almost confirmed, I mean, you go into every match with no real expectation outside of wanting to learn and, you know, just going for as many wins as you possibly can. If you lose, so be it. At the end of the day, it's probably not going to affect your position all that much unless you go for an absolute miracle run and beat all the odds, which is highly unlikely anyway. So, yeah, there's no real need for Overt to be upset at all with this result so far, or you know, allow a tilt to enter the game at all. Just play it out round by round, see what you can pull off. The last couple have been really well played. Arguably Bliss giving away way too much site control for free, right? Like that last round in particular, everyone's in sheets and in sight, yet no one on the vert has any idea, or at least no ability to counter that. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here for Bliss. Maybe they've just gotten a little bit complacent in the last couple of rounds, but I think they just need to close out this match and not let it get any closer than it needs to be.
Well, Edpan almost gets caught, and I think that's probably what would be the undoing for Overt. If they lose a player early on in some of these rounds, then it just suddenly becomes a lot harder to do what they really want to do, which is that aggressive push, sort of overwhelm the site play style. Cairo just able to expend a few of those Candelas on top of the ADSs of Repix. Continues to try and overtake Brown Stairs and has done so successfully with 1:50 remaining. This is not horrible from Overt.
Yeah, Repix in response, they did a good job to back off. If he didn't go early, he would have been caught by that Candela and likely killed. So honestly, it's a bit of a one-for-one trade. All that utility expended by Cairo means that there's no Candelas left for any sort of execute. So that's something that Bliss will probably be aware of if they've heard the cues, and Overt need to be mindful of as they prepare for an execute. We're still a while away from that taking place. Todd at 90 in a fight, wins it out with the pistol. Element's a little bit too slow there to find the kill, but it is an eventual trade.
4 versus 4, swing from Shade, who actually ends up, I think, taking more damage than he was able to actually dish out. Gasbabe, though, to at least buy some time. Jigsaw with the elimination onto Elements suddenly makes things a little bit more tricky now for Overt, down to 3 players. Sawyer, Cairo, Edpan, can they achieve yet another round win here to maybe send it to 6-4? Gasbabe once again executed from Shade.
Couple of smokes to work with and a handful of flashes means that there is some utility available to Overt, but I'm unsure as to how much information they have. Jigsaw as well has 90 control, making the long push tough. Yeah, this is not looking great for Overt. Bliss, especially off the back of that swing, should win the round.
And I was going to say droned out Jigsaw, but that 90 position still going to be so hard to get him displaced from. Yet, Oda is going to be eliminated by Cairo. Cairo very low, last one up. Sawyer's down, probably after the count as well. Players involved, players everywhere. Team Bliss finally brush aside Overt. They end up taking Villa 7-3, collecting all 3 points. They go to the top of the standings where they rightfully belong.
Cruise control for Team Bliss. They deal with Overt. in a pretty strong fashion. Probably could have been a little bit more dominant, but hey, at the end of the day, it's still 3 points. And I think they also did flex their muscles a little bit there in the frag department. They leaned into that aggressive play style. They backed themselves in, and eventually it paid off.
So no overtimes tonight, 7-4, 7-4, 7-5, and then 7-3 in our final game of the evening for Playday 4. Bliss get the job done. Vast, at one point, it looked like it was going to be a 7-1. We both thought that was going to be the case. Overt decided to, of course, come back at the last second a little bit, make that scoreline look a little bit better, and I think it was a deserved scoreline.
Yeah, I agree. I think Overt, they put up a really good fight, and
Vast is muted.
I am muted. Oh no, that's
okay.
A bit shambles. But anyway, what was I saying? Yes, Overt did put up a good fight. Like I think, you know, the early game really affected them. You know, losing that many defense. But I think they've made a lot of like really good decisions on their attacks. They often avoided, like we see this, oh no, that's not their attack, but they often avoided a lot of Bliss kind of roams, and I think that worked well for them. I think this last round as well was a bit of a mistake from them. I mean, we saw Bliss weren't really running any wall denial. Bliss kind of changed up their playstyle a little bit and their plan. They didn't want to contest Overt so much, and they wanted to back up a bit and just play on site. And they didn't have any wall denial, and Overt had Habana, and they weren't really opening up anything. I think, you know, the right call there is to open up a lot of the walls, try to open up that long hallway hold, add more pressure on site, maybe use 90 repel. They just weren't really giving Bliss enough pressure in this game. Sure, they were playing aggressive and catching him off guard, but it didn't really look like Bliss were ever getting pressured.
Guys, it was a game where aggressive-natured two teams went at it. Ultimately, of course, Bliss, they've got the experience though, right? And I think that ended up shining through.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I don't know what more to add on top of that. We did see, on a couple of occasions, we saw both Jigsaw and Repix both falter on the entry, but on more cases than not, we had someone else from Bliss step up, and that's a good sign that even if, you know, one of your top fraggers drops off, especially early round, if you're able to recover that and make a round out of it, that's, yeah, again, is a really good sign. Yeah, at the end of the day, this was kind of as we expected, right? Overt, they're up against one of their most challenging opponents so far, and yes, they've done well in the first couple of play days, but this should probably send them down to earth a little bit more, ground them a little bit, and hopefully fire them up for the back half.
Yeah, I don't think they would have been, what's the word? I don't think they would have developed too much of an ego from a couple of good days. So it's not like they go crashing down to earth or anything. It's just a good little test and against a solid team. Let's go and have a chat, though, with Team Bliss's Oda, who's, I'm sure, fresh off having a nice dinner plate meal earlier on tonight. Congratulations on the win, mate. Overt, though, they're a team that's obviously on the rise. It was a really fun game to watch because both of you two teams were just so aggressive with the way that you were playing.
Yeah, it's kind of what you expect from Overt, the aggression, especially like early in rounds. I don't know, like our attacks was just really just Jig picking them off early, and then just us adapting to like their playstyle and their aggression and just like executing on that really.
Yeah, I'm keen to just hear your thoughts rather on Overt as a whole. Oda, obviously their first couple of play days were pretty strong. Did you expect them to put up much of a fight tonight, or did you think they were going to be pretty easy?
My honest thoughts, I expected them to be easy. But no, they're a good little team. I think with more experience, especially playing in OCN and then going into that Relos, like they will be a decent team. And I reckon they'll make it out of Relos and back into OCN.
Yeah, I agree with that. Very impressive. I mean, with you guys, I don't know, I didn't really see any major mistakes today. Can't really talk about too much. I guess something I have noticed while watching you guys is the way you're able to like time your executes, like all five of you, really perfectly. It just seems like you're always trading, and I kind of wanted to maybe get a bit of insight on how you're able to do that so well.
Yeah, so with executes, it's just really all of us coming if we're ready and stuff, and like what intel we have on site, like where players are playing, you know, like, oh, Reppies, you're on me, let's refrag this guy. And it's just really just the communication going into those executes that we can pull them off.
I just quickly want your thoughts, because we've now gone through 4 play days. We're past the halfway mark on the stage. To me, it seems like a bit of a top-heavy stage, though. Bliss, yourselves, obviously, Chiefs and Knights, and that's about it. Is that the way you guys see it?
Yeah, I would say Order would be up there. I don't know what's happening this season, but yeah, it is just really us, Knights and Chiefs at the moment.
Well, I'll give you the floor. Final shout-outs to close the day.
Just shout out to the org, Bliss, you know, they're fucking, one of the best orgs that I've been with. Bit of a step up there. Shout out to the fans in chat, and shout out to Overt for a good game. I'm a bad please.
You're not going to be able to afford that.
Yeah, that's your last interview, mate. See you later.
That Red Rooster's.
That's
what the KFC is not going to be afforded next week because you're going to have to pay the fine. That's all right. We'll get you off, mate. It's all good. Best of luck next week in the. What do you got? Knights. There you go. Best of luck against Knights next week.
Yeah, I'll see you next week.
I don't think we'll see you next week.
No, he's gone, mate.
He's gone, mate.
He's exiled.
Look, Bliss, too strong, too good in the end to, of course, against Overt 7-3. Respectable scoreline in the end. And for Overt, obviously, their little run does come to an end, guys.
Yeah, I think they can hold their heads high. As you said, respectable scoreline. Honestly, even if it was like a 7-1, as I kind of theorized mid-match, and they dropped, I wouldn't say necessarily a respectable scoreline, but I still think they put in a good effort. Despite going up against Bliss, who I would still argue, even though Chiefs are back-to-back champs, Bliss is still one of, if not the scariest team to play against, just because of how proficient their fraggers are. Overt didn't back down. There was literally, I think, one round where they showed any kind of like util dump kind of structure, and outside of that they were happy to back themselves and play their game. So I respect them for that, and I look forward to them just continually grow. I think Oda himself actually put it really nicely, right? There's a fair chance they go to Relos, they learn a lot there, they make it back up to OCN for next year, and they'll be looking really, really strong. I
mentioned in that interview, Vast, sort of the way the standings are kind of shaping up a little bit and how it all feels a bit top heavy. There's 3 teams that are on double-digit round differential. Do you want to name all 3?
I don't actually know. Are you like asking me to guess?
Yeah.
No, he's bringing it up, mate. I can see it on you. I can see it shining on his face on the Wikipedia page.
Knights, Bliss, and Chiefs.
No, you're wrong. It's Bliss, Chiefs, and Order, because Order's -14.
That was a trick question.
Trick question. Gotcha.
I was set up for failure. That's not.
Believe it or not, Knights actually on 0 round differential, so it's yeah, a bit of a trick question. Let's go and have a look at the results from tonight's matches, though. It is all smiles, though, for the Knights, because they did end up beating Roffelkopter. The teams, though, that, of course, ended up winning, Rhythm 7-4 in what was a very big game, especially according to Guz. 7-4 as well for the Chiefs, and then 7-3 for Bliss versus Overt. Our match of the day, which was Knights versus Roffel, 7-5, actually ended up being our closest game, Guz.
Yeah, but I just want to, again, backtrack on that first matchup of the night. Not only for many, probably the unexpected result, Rhythm taking that win, but again, let's just theorize, if Wildcard or Rhythm failed to win another game for the rest of the stage, then I'm almost certain Wildcard go to relegations, because Rhythm will jump across them for the yearly standing. So that is an incredible storyline. Wildcard losing that head-to-head. They're taking on Overt next week, and honestly, if Wildcard produced a similar result to what they did tonight, Overt are probably going to wipe the floor. So very concerning signs for them, and relegation's definitely looming if they don't pick up their game. In terms of, the rest of the night, probably playing out, I'd say, as expected. Chiefs, back-to-back champs, getting that dub over Order, who are still struggling. Knights closing it out there against Roffel, and as we saw, Bliss quite dominant over Overt.
I was going to get your thoughts, Fast, but Guz went for
I did a Xenox, I just
far
looked
too
over the
long.
entire graphic.
He's done a Xenox. Let's go to the prediction graphic there, where we've actually got 2 that are leading. It is Mandy and it is Guz, both on 11-5, and then the other guy as well, 10-6. The only other one on double digits. But Vast, what's happened? You've given away the lead.
I don't know. Yeah, I got humbled out really quickly. I've learned that I'm gonna stop going against Rhythm, and I'm gonna, not stop going against Knights as well.
Sorry to cut you off. How is Dev 8-9? Where's he getting an extra game from? Man is cheating. He is straight cheating. Sorry.
What? Wasn't Dev on like 4? Wait, I'm confused by that.
There's been 16 matches so far, and he's got some 8 and 9, which is 17.
Dev is catching up to me. That is very concerning.
Nah, I wouldn't be too
Look,
worried.
if I was I know this isn't the biggest cop-out excuse, but if I was able to change my OCN predictions a bit earlier, like if I was to decide them a bit closer to the game day, I think I probably would have made some different choices. Say I made predictions this morning, I would have picked Rhythm for the first game.
Yeah.
I probably would have picked Knights actually for the third one, but look, you know, these are excuses. I need to be better, and I will be better.
Guz?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the results speak for themselves. I am clearly one of the best going around, and shout out to Andy, great obs tonight as usual, and even better predictions. What I will say is that next week, I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again, Overt over Wildcard.
And I was right, by the way. That buffoon, old mate Manic, did end up going for Overt. Who's laughing now, buddy? Let's go to our MVP of the night, though. I'm pretty certain it is Dragos, if I'm saying that one correctly from
Probably not.
Rhythm. Probably not, but hey, I don't believe that's the right stats at all.
I
My
was
man
looking at the
popped
KD
off
ratio.
tonight. He popped off.
KD 0.38. I mean, I would be a bit concerned if that was actually his KD and we picked him. Maybe we were watching the wrong game. I don't know.
Nah, he popped off tonight, didn't he, Guz?
Yeah, he did. Look, the most difficult thing I found tonight was actually saying his name correctly, so more than happy to be corrected on that. But yeah, across the board, some really opportunistic plays. Round 5, the highlight there in particular, went absolutely huge, and there were just time and time again where he just dismantled Wildcard, Rhythm rather. Wildcard. He dismantled Wildcard as Rhythm. It's getting late in the night, but yeah, as you can see, 12 and 3 at least at that point. So I don't think the KD was quite 0.4.
Vast, have you known much about this guy at all? He seemingly has come from nowhere.
Not really. I used to scrim him a little bit when he was on Skyfire, the OCL team. To be honest, I'm not trying to sound egotistic, but nothing really stood out at the time when scrimming. It was just a scrim. I've watched a bit of OCL here and there, and you know, didn't really see much. But I think coming onto an OCN team, maybe it's brought out a lot of you know, strengths of his. Maybe being on a team that have better, you know, droning coordination, better idea of how to play the game. Maybe that's, you know, maybe made him a bit more comfortable to perform.
Certainly. So let's have a recap of the standings and how it all lays out after 4 play days of 7 have now concluded. I'm pretty certain Team Bliss should actually be in first place.
3 wins would be 369 points.
Well,
1 loss. Yeah. I think it's right.
When
and then
wait, hang on a second.
Chiefs should have a loss. They don't have a loss.
Bliss haven't lost though.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So Chiefs and I
just
think
won.
Chiefs and Bliss are the wrong way. Either way, you get the idea, basically.
that was the test. That was the test for me. I failed it. You just come to expect these things, honestly. Oh, okay, no, I thought it updated. Okay, we're back.
You get the idea. Bliss are in first, Chiefs in second, Knights in third. We kind of touched on it a little bit. I'll go to you on this one, Vast, but it is very much a top-heavy stage.
Yeah, it's definitely looking a bit more tighter than we saw last season. I think last season was mainly just Bliss being miles ahead, Chiefs kind of being not so far behind, and I can't really remember, but I'm pretty sure everyone else was kind of quite a bit far behind. But now we're seeing, you know, 3 teams on, you know, really tight, really close on the same points. Yeah, I think it's turning out to be a really good season.
Guys, I'll get your final thoughts, I guess, whether it be about the standings or the night or about Manic, whatever you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, Manic's a flog. We'll get that out of the way first. In terms of the night, pretty exciting. I know I've harped on about it all night, but I still do really genuinely believe that wildcard Rhythm matchup was critically important and could send a wave throughout the rest of not only the stage, but the season as a whole. Imagine a scenario where we look back at this play day in a couple of weeks after Playday 7 and go, wildcard are going to relegations because they lost to Rhythm. Even saying it, I mean, I don't want to say it because it makes me feel really bad inside, and I can't even imagine like what's going through Wildcard's head at the moment. It must be really, really challenging for them. So hopefully they bounce back against Overt next week.
That's Playday 4 concluded, of course. We've got the reload on Monday. You can watch that on Twitch, Rainbow6ANZ. So, of course, we'll be there chatting nonsense as always. In terms of OCN, though, we'll be back next week.
Oh, what a little shot of Tahima instead. Wow, 3.
Should be the next on the board to be taken down.
Drax holds his position. Talk
Oh my
about
God.
timing. The epitome of timing. When you look it up in the dictionary, you'll see a picture of Drax looking away. Definitely doesn't look like a team that's in a mega
What
slump.
defender is that? Oh, God Legion. Hello? Oh, what? That's not bad. Nico off the board. Oh, Spectre! Good night! Oh my God. Ethan, ultra aggressive inside a study.
They're not going to be ready for this at all, but also, to be fair, what the last shot, I swear, it was the last bullet from Ethan. To fight the other stairs, Ethan gets Bailey pushing in, 2 for the round. He's going for a 3rd.
As Knights will get control. Oh, I fixed it! I told you it would fix it!
Don't,
Yes!
Why would you do that? I don't think that's going to hit anyone unless they walk literally on top of it. 35 seconds. Oh, never mind. Never mind.
Really good job here of pushing out these opponents, which look quite comfortable. Oh, God Legion catches one off guard, make it.
Two potentially. Oh, shoot him! Legion, you saw him. Shoot his head.
No! He pulled away from it. It doesn't matter. They're up 5 versus 2 anyway. They get the flawless round. What?